familiar with in the past. Uh, for instance, we used to have programs. Ah, you remember like the one in South Africa, 1996. The future, you know what I mean. Global movement in Islam or something like that. Yeah. Well, it was definitely about the future of the global Islamic movement in the world or something like that, or creating a new global civilization. Yeah, creating a new global civilization of Islam. And those type of programs brought out a lot of thinkers. And for instance, we used to have a lot of those programs. And one of the things that was required that the speakers, of course I didn't do it, but they would write a paper like this paper. This is Mustaqbal al-Haramain, the future of the Haramain, or the future of Hajj. We used to have Hajj programs at least once every summer in Canada, in Europe, and it was about the future of Haramain, because the Saudis called themselves Qadam al-Haramain, the keepers of the two holy places in Islam. And we were saying that you were not the keepers of holy places in Islam. And on top of that, the beautiful thing about the Gulf War of 1991 was that the Saudis called the United States to protect them. So it was clear, you didn't call on Allah, you didn't call on the Ummah, you called on the Americans. And they came and they protected you. So the Americans would be the keepers of the Haramain, not you, right? Because they're your keepers. And now it's even more clear. So the future of the Haramain. Now, the political significance of Hajj, that's Yunus Muhammad of Nigeria. That means that this whole paper right here is presented by a known professor in Islam, and they're from all over the world. You'll see that these people came from all over the world. And his subject was political significance of Hajj. Okay, now, to me, now you got to remember in those days, there would be a table with all of these articles on them. And what would I do? I would come by and I would pick them all up and I would read them all. Imagine the education I'm getting. I would take every last one of them, whether it was in Iran, whether it's in London, whether it's in Canada, wherever they was. And so this one was January 6th, 7th, and 8th, and 9th, 1988. And then the future of Haramain and the emerging political power of Islam. This is Dr. Kaleem Siddiqui. Aisha Muhammad, Muslim Women in Hajj, A Critical View. Remember, I'm reading all of this, and this is just a few that I brought. I'm reading all of these too. Civilizational Role of Hajj, Dr. Rashid Mutan, Bayero University, Kano, Nigeria. Dr. Mahmood Abdul Rahman Faisal, Pakistan, Saudi use of Haramain and Hajj for political ends. So this is a Pakistani. Remember, just imagine all the views that I'm getting of Hajj just from this one conference. These are the resolutions after the Hajj. You know, after the program, the future of Haramain. We would have outlines on resolution. A world seminar convened by the Muslim Institute met in London from January 6th to the 9th, 1988. Among the 400 participants were many ulama and intellectuals, as well as those active in the Islamic movement. In all parts of the world, representing 40 states, the participants also represented all Islamic schools, the majority consisting of Sunni Muslims. The seminar was called specifically to consider the issue of the future of Haramain in Mecca. The Haramain, the Sirah and the Sunnah, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam. That was just now. At that time, you could imagine all of this knowledge is, you're just soaking it up. That's why after a few years, you could be asked any question about political movements, where they're from, who they are, and you would know based on your association with the Islamic movement, you would know the Nigerian position, the Pakistani position, and you're dealing with these people all the time. This is the 7th Islamic Thought Conference. This looks like it's in Iran. Secularism and its impact on Hajj operations in Nigeria by Hussein Akandi Abdul Rahim, Associate Professor of Biochemistry, Head of the Department of Biochemistry, University of Maiduguri, that's Nigeria. But that's his issue, the secularism and its impact on Hajj operations in Nigeria. What do the Saudis do to them in Nigeria? What is the game they play, the Saudi embassy, right? When you read other literature, you'll read all the literature on the Sokoto Caliphate, how big it was, and its leaders, and what its impact was on us even here today. The different stages, the evolutionary processes that it went through itself. And then a lot of the people that we're studying about, they were members or still members of those historical groups. Current developments in the Middle East by Umar M. Birai, Department of Political Science, Ahmadu Bello University, Zaria, again, Nigeria. And remember, I not only picked all these articles, I still got them. You know, they done went through soaking and weddings, you know. Sometime boss man try to get rid of the literature, so he'll zip a little water in on you, and you'll have to rescue. When you come back, you'll have to rescue, you know, there's water damage. But boss man haven't been successful. I had the little house over there, 4481. I had it stretched out full of literature, drying out a few years ago. It was just all drying out, you know. And no. So a decade of revolutionary Islam and the struggle to end Tabligh, of world arrogance of the East and the West. This is a good one, Muslim-orientated Christian mission. This is Dr. Zafarul Islam Khan. He's a brother from India, Pakistan. He's a friend of mine, and he wrote a very good book on the same subject. Director of the Institute of Islamic and Arabic Studies, Now, you have to see that all of these people are scholarly. You know, they're bookish type people, bookish activists. Academics, yeah. But it's okay. Because, see, when you get involved in movement, Maulana Maududi gave a tafsir class on the radio in Pakistan, 1941, for that era. And from those programs on the radio is where we get Tafhimul Quran, understanding Quran. For us, it was one of the best tafsir of Quran. In the early days, for us, actually, it was the best. I remember in '89, when I went to Iran, I went to Pakistan. When I come back through Pakistan, at first, now it's in 6 volumes, that printing. They have a modern translation by the group in London. But I like the old one, and that old, it had, when I first ran across them, I was going to Masjid Muhammad in Oakland, but I would go to a tafsir class on Thursday night over at the Islamic Center in San Francisco. That was almost 50 years ago. That was in the middle 70s. I came out of the middle and end. I came out of Leavenworth in 76. And so I had read, I was familiar with Maulana Maududi's writings. In fact, our masjid in Oakland was called a Masjid al-Maududi, you know, in 1980 and all that, because at that time, Maulana Maududi for Sunnis represented the Islamic movement, you know, and in fact, it was a strange thing between Arabs and Pakistanis. Arabs felt themselves on a light decline with Imam Hassan al-Banna has been martyred, the Islamic Ikhwan al-Muslimin have been having, you know, so they were looking toward, at our tafsir class, all the Arabs there, and the Arabs they were students at UC Berkeley, and this is the first time I was looking at all of their books had UC Berkeley on it, and they were all in Arabic. They was getting their tafsir from the University of California at Berkeley. And that's when I realized how deep those libraries was, you know. So I started visiting them too, getting books on masonry and everything. You know, in those years, half of the stuff we was getting was, anyway, it's kind of a little mixture here and there. But all of those books, we had about 3 or 4 small volumes of Maulana Maududi's Tafhimul Quran. And somebody, one of the brothers, his mother or father donated a whole lot of English books. I got some of them right now. The Quranic Structure of Islamic Society or something like that. All of those, man. Can you imagine those days I'm getting all those books in this, hey man. And I told everybody at the masjid in Oakland, hey man, I got all these books, we can, they said, shoot, we gotta check them books out and see if they're okayed by the chief, you know. Which they never got any. They just, it took them years to get where they could have got. I mean, anyway, right now what we're suggesting is this. We're suggesting that the Islamic Republic or some of the people in charge of certain activities, that we reestablished these type of programs, except for right now, they don't have to be you go to Iran and you go here and you go there. We can zoom these in, and we could plan, and I'm talking to anybody that's listening. You could, Thanksgiving could be the first one. That'd give enough time to get it all together. People could send in to a certain post box or address, or what have you. Or they have a center where they're going to do the central broadcasting. It could be a good 3 or 4 day program. And that would be the first one. Here's what we're saying. All of these, you could see that we were taking charge of the narrative on Haramain and all other questions. We have handed over that narrative to other people who just zip their mouth up, right? So now we want to influence the people by influencing the subjects. For now, what the subject we talk about, write your own history. Well, the Quran says read your own book. Well, if you're going to read your own book, right, you had to write the book. All the angels are doing are recording, right? They're recording your deeds and actions. They're not writing anything other, because the Quran refers to them as something like Karim, and they're honorable scribes, right? They're honorable scribes. So they're just writing down, okay, so now, with all of the different things that are going on in the world now, and a lot of them have to do with Muslims, we should take charge of the narrative, shape and form the ideas, just like we did then. Shape and form the ideas of what we should be thinking about, visioneering, and how we can shape and form the ideas of the ummah and motivate the ummah, right? We should take charge of that. Instead of it being a conference like the one we went to over there, it looked like there was dead people there. Well, they was dead. They might as well be dead. Nobody just shot them. But other than that, it was no energy. It was no enthusiasm. Just visualize the enthusiasm and that these types of program had. All right. So this is our suggestion, that we present papers. That means when you write a paper, you have to think it out, you know what I mean? And many of these people are used to this. I never wrote out papers because I was better at speaking. But by the time I zip through and I go back to my room at night and I read all of these things, zip, 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 the outline, pretty soon you're up on the whole show anyway. Imagine when you come out, you're unifying everybody. And that's what Dr. Kaleem Siddiqui was talking about. See, our relationship was at this very conference in London. We're counting on you. I said, oh, Doc, take it easy. I got it covered. My job was kind of like Siraj's now. To be in tune with everybody and unify everybody. When we leave there, we're one people. All the other guys are just running their mouth. They're nice guys, but they're thinking about their lecture, right? We're thinking about not only the program and its success, but where we're going, who we are, So you could link everything together. I remember one program, it was mostly Kashmiris in Pakistan. I had linked the transition from India to Pakistan and all the people that was killed during that period in 1947 with our mid-Atlantic transition. The only thing is, I gave them the surface view that I thought was true, and 1 million people, just after it was over, 3 or 4 people came up. It was 5 million, maybe 10 million. But other than that, you should have saw the Kashmiris from Kashmir feeling at home with us and our situation right here. We can do the same thing again. That's part of what that's part of our mission. And of course, you would see in the paper, U.S. Israel cannot stop Muslims that are the uprising, Imam Abdul Alim. And it's a nice article in there. They don't put them in there no more, but this is Tehran Times. It's no problem. Take charge of our own future, right? And then imagine our people that's on the level that they're on now, they've only heard some of the nice people out at whatever they are out there. Is that 18th Street or something like that? Yeah, yeah. Okay. Well, they've only heard, the people have only heard what they hear around here. And they don't come here, right? So their mind has to be, the Quran and Hadith are historical, inspirational things to read. Like reading the Bible, they're not things that you do. You see what I mean? You don't do that. The way we read it, this is what it says, this is what we do. Right? That's all. Okay. Now, imagine all the young people after a few years there, and especially when we start having those conferences again. But they don't have to be conferences where you have to spend a lot of money. Right? Like these right here, we can do it on the Zoom and all of that. And it could be, we'll start off with a nice 2-3 day conference. The ones that's putting together will put together an agenda, and everybody will be able to go on the website and see the agendas and what time a person is going to speak, what the subject is, and they could load up the people's lecture. You know, they have a website where super, just finish here, it's going right over, or it go right on their website, right? And you could get the speaking or written. That stuff is easy and it don't cost much. Just a little cooperation, just a little organization. Muslim-orientated Christian missions, with a case study of the Red Sea mission. You know, what they doing to what they saying to Muslims over there. One thing I remember in a book on Muslim Brotherhood, the missionaries would say, you're not going to usually convert too many Muslims to Christianity, which is basically true. Very few compared to the amount that we convert to Islam with Allah's help. Even in the Muslim world, you ain't going to see no whole lot of people running from Islam. When they read 2 minutes of, when they read certain literature, they'll automatically, they just know, oh, that ain't, you know. Anyway, but now just imagine, one of the things that they said, we don't have to convert them. All we have to do is get them to hesitate. Hesitate, you know, you hesitate on action. So as usual, we use that, hesitate is to delay, to put off. So they had it there as a bad thing. So we're going to develop a whole program off of hesitation. You know, hesitation is the same as delay. But see, it's different than procrastination. So they got it all down as procrastination. And remember, if we're going to start tracking, we're going to go where everything we use has to be different. No, it don't have to be different. But we have to investigate things that haven't been investigated before. That's our job. Okay, now we'll go to fill the Negro void. If there's no stage and there's no platform, then we build it ourselves. If there's no stage for what we're talking about, we build it. We build it ourselves. We've been doing it all along, but we've been cruising, you know. And to them, cruising would be hesitation. But for us, it ain't. It's not, because whether they know it or not, it goes back to this person we used to call Negrocious. Negrocious lived in 3 periods of time at the same time. He could incorporate it. Now, technically, only Allah can do that, you know, because the past, present, and the future is all the same to Allah. Right? It ain't no such thing. For Allah, there's no past, present, and the future. It just is. And it'll always be is. That's kind of hard to fathom. You know what I mean? It really, we can talk about it, but when you sit down and you mean always, how long is always? 79 trillion years? How long is that? Well, it's forever. It's okay to say that, but when you sit down and think about it, that means it's not going to end. That is a long time. And remember, they just talk about the earth has been here 4.5 billion years. And then they kind of hypothesize it'll be here another 4.5 billion years. Well, I mean, mathematically, you know, the sun will eventually burn out, right? Because it's material and it's burning and burning and burning. So it's going to burn out. No way soon, I hope. But when it burn out, what's going to happen to the dear oceans? Well, them boys are going to freeze. It may take 30 million years for them to freeze. You know what I mean? For the things that, to get a little cold here and there, a little, you know. Okay. So if there's no platform, we have to build a platform. If there's no position to stand up on, to educate and to train and to lead the people in the right direction, right, then we have to build that. So that's part of our job, to build a platform for justice, to build a platform for truth. It's our job to, or it's part of our job, to be in these, to be able to associate the past and the present, but then forecast and kind of predict the future. And I mean the future within our, within our arena. We're not responsible for way up there. Because way up there, I mean, you know, the human being's going to be here a while. If he don't blow it, you know, he could blow it. He could blow it. I don't put nothing past him, you know. But I don't think he's going to, I don't think Allah is going to allow him to do that. You know, I think that he's going to get it. Like Winston Churchill said, you could count on the Americans to do the right thing after they've exhausted, what did he say? After they've exhausted every other avenue, finally they're going to do the right thing. Of course, he was talking about them becoming the arsenal of democracy. You guys got to help us against these Germans. Hey, man, this is a big deal here. And remember, they're coming to get you next. So just let them. And you got the Japanese over there. They done knocked us out of Shanghai. They done knocked us. So, hey, man, don't look too good. So, actually, Winston Churchill did a good job of getting Roosevelt and them ready. Because when World War II happened, they was already ready. Why? Because Churchill had got them ready for it. They was calling it the arsenal of democracy. Yes, they lie a lot, but you remember they lie according to their own, what's in their head. The arsenal of democracy. Good God Almighty. It don't make no difference. Well, anyway, past, present, and future. Now, that's part of our mission, or our adopted mission, is to incorporate past behavior, you know, in people, in environments, and what do people do in certain circumstances, right? What do the human being do in certain circumstances? And in time, you can start getting it pretty much right. Now, I feel that we've done that with the system. Now, I also feel that the system should be able to do the same thing with us. If we can sit right there and we can study Boss Man and we can forecast ahead and it's very correct, he should be able to look at us. He don't need no snitches or nothing that tell him nothing. He ought to be able to look at, he got the whole history. This is Negro history, right? This is what he do. This is what he done all the time. And this is what they should be able to study our exact evolution and everything. It shouldn't be no trouble. It ain't no trouble for us to analyze, oh, Boss Man, we sit around and make jokes of him. And it comes out right all the time. It comes out right. Okay, he may not, you know, when you're going into a decline, you may not be as fast as you was, when, and then your time is ending. Boss Man is missing the point a lot. And everything, yesterday, it must have been yesterday, I didn't even listen to it all. Don had told all the white folks that, what Barack Obama did, Osama bin Laden was a hoax. You know what I mean? I don't know if y'all saw that. Yeah, he said, just type in Osama bin Laden hoax. What he had told them, because they had one of the guys that was participating in it. From my understanding, and I only watched 2-3 minutes of it because I was doing something, that Osama bin Laden, now we done said this 10,000 times, right? That what they mean, if they had Qusay and Qusay and they had them laid out almost, dead, showing them off, right? The European, if he kill you and he still got your body, he gonna drag you down the street in front of everybody, right? He ain't gonna go throw you in the ocean. There was 2 or 3 people he was supposed to throw in the ocean. And Osama was one of them, right? And the pictures you see from Osama from the back, you said, that Osama bin Laden, right? So I don't know if you got it, but does it say that Donald said it was a hoax?
Yeah, I see it here. Was this the Washington Post? Okay, yeah. So Donald Trump had retweeted an article alleging that Biden and Obama um, may have had a SEAL Team 6 killed. Um, yeah, so apparently Trump retweeted a link saying that it was a set, that
It was a hoax. It was phony.
See, the thing is, he retweeted a QAnon,
oh, okay.
and QAnon
Yeah, yeah,
is the conspiracy link. So
yeah.
he retweeted that and said,
But see, you got to remember, all of those people are part of the same team. That's why we can't get hooked up. We don't run after. We done already said what we thought about it. If they happen to say something that we didn't say it, we just said, well, good for you. Whether it's cute, but remember, they're going to overload them with conspiracies. Half of the things they're going to say is going to be close to true or true, right? But it's to spin their brains around, and sometimes they tell that things is true, and they classify them as a conspiracy theory, and they got their people all out there. They got, oh, Alex Jones make me so sick. He just make you sick. He said, y'all didn't kill all the people, the little kids. Of course they killed the kids. So he said they didn't kill them, and then all the other conspiracies, they said, see, all these are conspiracies. Just like 9/11. They would put out, you be able to see this happen, that didn't happen. You know it's a controlled implosion. You can see that. Okay. Then they give you their reasons why. Every reason they give you, they can point at it and say, or they give you 10 reasons, they can check you on 4 of them. That's a hoax. Or the missiles coming to hit the Pentagon, you know what I mean? And they show you, well, a plane didn't make that little space, right? And that's true. And they said that had to be a missile. And then, well, it's true. And then they don't have no doggone airplane parts around there picking up, right? Just imagine, where's the wheel? You got a wheel or two? How about a couple of wheels? Oh no, they blew up or wait a minute, hold it. No. Let's go back to crash sites. You got to remember how gullible people are, man. We got to be nice to these people. And you got to treat them right, but you got to treat them carefully because they'll wind up mad at you. You got to be careful how you, okay, oh, this happened, that happened, da. Because see, the Zionists and the top Americans are using their children and their family. And they're the ones that's suffering. Okay, we started this stuff way back when. Because that's the pattern of behavior of the system. Okay, so if we can study them and we can forecast their behavior, they should be able to do. We've been here with him. Boss man been riding and talking with us all along. And he ought to be able to, do the same to us. Well, he can. But there's still a touch of arrogance and what have you. You got to remember, arrogance is not something we can have and want to be successful. We can't do it. Well, you'd have to have a little experience with it. When I was so-called Big Hank and all that, there came a short period. Well, I'm Big Hank. I wanted to be like that. That's good. That's good. You get lucky. You realize, hey, I don't care who you are. You got to read that thing like it is, not like you want it. You see what I mean? Okay. exceptionalism and all of that stuff. Counting on we've been through this 1,000 times, we beat them all the time. Well, this is not to remember the Alamo days. You know, when you ask volunteers to step forward and everybody step forward, right? And they know they're going. The Americans are not like that. Oh, no, they're not. I don't care. You can jump up and down all you want. They're not like that. They're not like that at all. And then they exaggerate a little bit about that too. But we have to show the world a better way, you know, a good way. And in order to do that, we can't have, oh, I like this, that crew is my friend, so I'm going to interpret it the way they like. You can't do that. No, sir. You have to be on the money. Not only for the Quran's sake and the Hadith's sake, in history's sake, right? And we have to feed it through that whole, sift everything through that process. Through the Quran, it's got to be sifted right through the Quran. Then it has to be sifted through the prophetic traditions. And then history. And then our interpretation from our background. And we're not using our background to change it, but the black man is God, the white man is. We're not using those stuff, dumb stuff like that. We're just saying that if the Chinese can practice communism with Chinese characteristics, and it's still communism, then we can practice Islam with Negro characteristics because it's been filtered through that whole process. So we can't say, well, since we black, you know, it means the blear-eyed devil mean the blue-eyed devil. That's what, you know, because that's what some people wanted to say. A glaucoma, you know, get a little ringer in it. Yeah, we can't do that. Okay, so show the world a better way. Financial plans and economic plans. It would seem like a state system that has survived. Now, when I say a state system, you got to remember Iran is a state system that they have went through everything now. In the early days, shoot, in 88 and 89, the revolution was only 10 years old. Now it's decades and decades. It's over 40 years old, right? This is a miracle. I mean, and it's a miracle every week. It's a miracle per day. With the stuff they're doing to it, hey, you can't explain that except that it's God protecting them. Of course they're doing what they can. But they have corruption, and the more hungrier, the more pressure they put on, the more people steal money. Because I got to steal this here. My wife and children are going to starve to death. And it ain't but $2, $3 coming in. So sometime during these tight periods, they steal more, but it's still there. And look at the impression that the world is getting now. Hey, if you guys can do it, I can do it. So we have to show the world a better way. Now here in America, as we said, if there's no platform, if there's no stage, then we have to build that stage here in America. Stand up on that stage and present these very valuable realities, you know. And just think about it. It just that nobody else even cares enough about the Muslims or the people of America to even tell them the truth. Either they don't know us the truth, either our people around here, they don't know the truth. Either they don't know because they're not saying. They're saying, you got two hadiths that said this, that, and another, and this is bid'ah, and that's going to turn. They don't say nothing about the Quran, the Hadith. If they face our direction, if they eat our food, if they pray our prayers, then they part of the ummah. They go find one little thing that say, maybe two at the most. If this right here, this is bid'ah, and bid'ah means you're going to run away from. You have a choice to use your aql, your reason. And people that do that, I'm not against them, but that's a cowardly interpretation. It's cowardly because it allows you, it's like Jesus died for our sins. If I accept that, then I'm headed for heaven. That's the way they act. If I accept that one hadith, it's going to be 72 groups. They all going astray except one or 70 or some big number like that, right? I'm going to be in that one group. And they said, well, that's the one that followed the Quran and my Sunnah. That they don't, that's Thaqalain, that, something pretty heavy. It happened to not say that. It don't say the Quran and the Sunnah. It says the Quran and my itriti. That means my family. Itriti alul bayt. Itriti means not somebody stay at the house or something, but personal family ties, right? Oh, I never heard of that. That's because you ain't listening. It's in all the books. Tirmidhi, right? It's all around. Look, and then you get the ones that follow that. They say, since we follow that, all that other stuff, we don't have to listen to neither. They worse, they bad as the other guys. They all going somewhere together. Probably, I don't know. Yeah, because they're the same guys. One just wearing his pants real short, and the other ones don't care about that. They call themselves different names, but they do the same basic thing. If they with us, then you all right. If you ain't with us, you ain't all right. And you don't have to accept the whole lot. You can accept the whole Quran, but there's one little part, let me just find it. You know what I mean? And so, see that right there? That's yeah. The title of the talk today is Negrocious. Negrocious, like your gross paycheck, is all of it. Not this. So Negrocious is a big Negro. Yeah, that's what it technically means. So in order for us to practice with Negro characteristics, we're going to have to be big. That means we're going to have to study each and everybody, and we can't be isolatory. We can't isolate these is Iranians and this is it, these Pakistanis. We told them, I remember it was 5:30. That means that was May the 30th, 1982 in LA. I got the lecture. I gave a lecture on we don't need Pakistaniism, we don't need Iranianism, we don't need none of those isms. All we want is Islam. So some of the they wasn't you can call them what you want. Imam Musa, some people that say that are like government agencies, people that supported a certain revolutionary concept. When they say Iranianism, I said, I don't know what the H-E-double-L you're talking about. I said, everybody teach us Islam according to where they got it from. They don't mean no harm. And when they tell you what I'm teaching you Islam. The Pakistanis teach us, they might as well be teaching us Hanafiism. They don't say this is Hanafiism, but that's what it is. When you get around, you study, read Fatawa Rahimiyya and all them stuff, you say, hey. And Iranians, they teach you what they've been taught. And they call that Islam. That's what they call it. It's not their fault. That's what they've been taught, and they're going to teach it to us, and they're going to tell us that's Islam. The beauty about even those early days is we had all that book and all those literature, and we didn't let people put us in one little box. That's how we got lucky and got the whole picture of Islam. All other Negroes, they got a side view, or a front view, or a back view. They didn't get the whole thing. Quality time for spiritual development. Visit all types of environmental offices. This is a thing for here now. Like you notice, we do a lot of little trial things. Like we went, let's say to what's the office over there? CARE. We went over to CARE 4 or 5 times. Give a little talk. Okay, we've been there now. That's fine. We went downtown. And we participated in the stuff there. Participate and get our analysis, see what it is, right? And goodbye. We didn't say what's the sense of us staying there any longer. What, to convince them of what? They already got all the police on their side. And now it's fun to see them play it out, right? So, okay, bye-bye. Nice talking to y'all. Right? We got the point. And we went and we seen it. And then we went over here and over there. But it's the same thing now. In order to show the world a better way, now we have to start incorporating that language. So when I say visit all offices, I don't know if y'all remember, I had a little bitty thin pamphlet on trees in the environment, you know, and see how nice they are, what they produce, how much water they hold. I didn't know that one tree could hold, I don't know, it was 57 gallons, 57,000. It was some huge amount that the tree hold in the ground, you know what I mean? It's just right out there. So they have environmental offices. They have all kind of offices right here in D.C. That's one thing about D.C. You're right in the capital. Everybody got an office here. So we'll get a chance to go around and collect all their literature and read all their literature. And they'll have a meeting tomorrow or next week or next month, or they'll have some Zoom on the website, and we'll get on there with them. And after several months or a while, we'll be familiar with them. They'll be familiar with us. We'll refine our ideas about this new worldism, this environmentalism, right? Because we're just saying the things we're saying based on our own research, but it's broad research. Now, when we start organizing our plan for the future, we have to have a broad vision, but some details, right? What are we going to do with the economy? If we're going to make a new world, right, then some people are going to have to come off work. What are we going to do while they're not working? Well, we're going to give them some money. Right? So where's that money coming from? It's going to come from the people that's got it, right? Because they give it to some of the people that ain't got it till they can work, till we can get all these aircraft carriers and battleships pulling great rescue missions all around the world, right? Yeah, we clean up the plastic, ain't no problem, we'll clean it up. We messed it up, we can clean it up. And as we do more of it, we'll study better and ways, more improved ways to do it, right? We might have something blow at the bottom of the ocean a little bit, blow the stuff up, then we sweep it. You know what I mean? Without destroying anything around, we'll do it in the time. You know, it's gonna be all right. We can do that. The human being can do that. We got the technology and we got the people that want to do it, right? And we can go from the beach to 1 mile, and then from 1 mile to 12 miles out, and then have another crew. They out there on the big ocean. They might stay out there, I don't know how long. Then they come home, or, big helicopter pads. One of them aircraft carriers can pull, if they can put a prison like on them big barges, right, a penitentiary on a barge, they could have a whole mile long trees and forests for you to run through, right? Then they can have another half a mile where everybody live, right? Then they can have another half a mile where all the plastic is picked up and is remelted and is put in big blocks, right? And all you have to do is keep them balanced, right? Some on this side of the barge, it's unlimited what we can do. And they don't have to be out there long. They can do short periods of years at a time. Years at a time. Because even you got a mile of stuff, you can grow all your fruits and vegetables, all that, and run through it, and get the beauty of trees and and have birds in there flying around. Yeah. And you don't have to keep no top on it, because the birds are going to fly out about a block and they're going to realize it ain't nowhere to land, so we better, right? Yeah, after you get out a while, you can let the top back. You don't have to keep them in no little, but they want to exercise. They get out and fly around a little bit and they'll fly right back. All of that stuff is easy to do. If we, with our background, can do it, there's too many people, we might have more sense than most people because the way we're training ourselves. See, okay, we get the stuff from scholars, from workers, from everybody. They may get it just from reading a book about, photovoltaic cells. It was one of my friends. It was 40-something years ago. He was in the penitentiary with me, and we used to call him Solar Sam. Gordon is a white guy. He taught me about photovoltaic cells. I hung around with all Negroes, but I also taught the white people how to do time. That was my mission, to help them, because they would look at us, we laughing and talking, they say, they come straight from the street to camp. And we at camp, well, how did you get here? Oh, I was in the pen for 18 years and I come out. And we laughing and talking and they turning gray-headed. They turning gray-headed. I mean, I'm telling you, I was in Florida, one of the white guys, one of the Teamster lawyers, they stole $21 million in those days. That's big money. And they gave the guy's wife $35,000 a year. That was a lot of money then. That's like $200,000-300,000 now, to live and what have you. And I left him in Florida. We used to talk. He was a Jewish guy. And they sent him to a prison down, and I think of it in Texas. And when I was going to California, I came across and I met him again. He was bent over. He couldn't hardly. I said, man, and that was only a few months. That's how time affected them. They wasn't used to doing time. You can give a Negro 30, 40 years, he gonna turn flips or whatever he do, because he's used to it. He expects it. He expects it. So I used to have a class, we'd be sitting cross-legged after the 4 o'clock count. And the Negroes used to wonder, what is Big Hank doing? I'm a guru, and I was teaching the white boys how to do time, because they didn't know how to do time. This is like what I give back to the society. There was no charge or nothing, but I'm teaching them the attitude you got to have to do time. Remember, for us, doing time is natural. For them, the big bank guys, they would come and teach a class. I would have them come on Tuesday night to teach a class on banking, on all the stuff that this guy, he stole $2 million. It ain't that much, well, it was a little bit then. They're big bankers. And they teach the Negro about trust. I knew the Negro didn't know nothing about nothing except I'm gonna get me big money and then I'm gonna go to jail as usual and I'm gonna come out broke as usual. And so the white folks, what I was doing was transferring what we know to them, and I was having them come and transfer what they know to us. Everything like hypnotherapy and all of that. One of my best friends, he was a hypnotherapist. So he come in Tuesday night class, he started, and just see yourself on an elevator and a sign says down, and you're going deeper and deeper. The elevator opens and you see a sign. It's a velvet carpet and it says down, and you're going deeper and deeper. Now me and Diamond Jim was just looking at him. The guy up in the front, boop, he was out. Because see, they would do that for losing weight, for stopping smoking, hypnotize you, which wasn't hypnotism. So I asked him, I said, man, the homeboy up there, as soon as you start talking, he was out like a light. He said he wanted to be hypnotized. I could have just spun around at the top. He would have been hypnotized. He wanted to be hypnotized. And the others, they're non-resistant. I said, what about me? Me and Diamond, ain't nobody. I was just sitting there looking. He said, you didn't want to be hypnotized. Ain't nothing nobody can do. Can't nobody make you be hypnotized. You sitting there looking at them and, not paying attention. And you ain't hypnotized. Well, you can't. You know what I mean? Anyway. So we transferred the knowledge that they have for us. Because I wanted the brothers to be successful. I was a Muslim by then, and I couldn't teach, anything haram. Just go down to South America, get y'all hook up. I couldn't do that then because it's haram. But I could teach them, have the white folks come and teach them how to hide your money. How, if you get a problem, you don't lose everything. They don't kick your door down and you got $2 million under the floorboard in the house, as usual. Right? It's terrible. Some Negroes have money in a mattress and a coffee can. Niggas had money in the car. Yes, they do. They'll put it wherever it come to them. They'll put it in a coffee can. Yes, they will. Big money. And if it's a little box this big, candy box, them little metal candy, you turn that money sideways, have $300,000 in a little old candy box. White man come in, well, Johnny boy, look like we done found your money. Man, you can't take all my little money here. Well, just stand by, see what happens. Anyway, it's the sharing of stuff. So we have to show the world a better way. And like I say, Gordon taught me about photovoltaics, all the stuff they doing now. See, Gordon was one of them white men way back in the 50s, one white man invented a carburetor where your car could get 100 miles a gallon. Well, he'd run off the highway, somebody killed him. Right, well, who killed him? Well, just look around and see who would benefit. The gas company, in those days they had 4-barrel carburetors. I don't know if y'all remember them. 4-barrel carburetors, some big old engines, 4-barrel carburetors, and the racing cars had 2 4s. That means 8 barrels, eight jets. The car would run off 1 jet. Or they had 3 2s, 3 deuces. That means 3 2-barrel carburetors. That means 6 jets. Yeah. And you got about 1 mile a gallon. Now, suppose you come out with a new invention, you can regulate this carburetor, and you get 100 miles a gallon. Man, they're going to get rid of you. Well, Gordon, he was from up in Oregon, and boy, Gordon built them houses were sealed shut. We call them Solar Sam because, when they got heat in it, it stayed. And any heat came in from the outside, he would show, well, you could put a little bit of bricks here. The sun will heat these bricks, and the bricks will heat, you know what I mean? All kind of little stuff. That's just auxiliary stuff. And that's why he was in prison. He wasn't a criminal. He didn't do nothing. So I hung around. I said, well, Gordon, what about all of this? He said, so he taught me about all the stuff they're talking about, environmentalism, photovoltaic cells. I hear it every day on the news. They still talking about that now, and that was 40 years ago. I still have the tapes right now. I don't know what it all means, but it was an education. It was something to do. The thing about the transfer of knowledge, there's funny things happen all the time. For instance, you take 4481 right over there. 4481, okay, it's not stalling us, but remember we asked Muhajir to come by, and electricity, we didn't want him to do that, but it stalls a little bit. That stalls a little bit, stalls a long time. That must have been, it could have been 4 months ago. Yeah, that's a while back. Right there, okay. Okay, if it could be anything. Lighting, plumbing, it's just there. But whatever it is, it's going to be one little piece missing. It'll take 100 years to fix it. All the time. Right now, the cabinet's over there. Yes, cabinets. Just one little piece missing to fix the plumbing part of it. It's okay. It's all right. I mean, I got all the time in the world. But that's what happens. Right there. I'm not saying it could have been fixed a long time ago, or we could have painted it, put the carpet down. It does make a difference, but it has a pattern, and it's always that pattern. If I can do something, paint or fix, we got the house ready, we jacked it up to put all the little pieces of wood in there and stuff, and it took what it take, 2, 3, 4 days maximum, right? That's because we know what to do, but when somebody else know what to do, well, so maybe we'll just learn plumbing and carpentry, and it don't make no difference who you call. It's going to be, that's a pattern. I had a wonderful visit out at a center the other day. Wonderful visit. Man, it's pear trees, all kind of stuff growing around there. And chickens, the exact same thing. I like those things. It's like the country to me. But I can tell when things are arranged. Maybe I can't tell why they're arranged, but I can tell what's arranged. So, if I'm going to get some, and then we just stop by, and who's there, just happen to be there to meet, and then who's there, It's arranged. It's arranged. It's nice, but it's still arranged. You can tell what an arranged meeting is. And you can tell who the arrangers are. And you could tell, like a long time ago, I told a group of people that all of the African-American Shias that I had known I considered, this is in Dallas, well, it might have been Houston, Dallas, one of them, that they were government agents or had that behavior, whether it was Hashim, Alauddin, to come through. I already knew all of them. I knew who I was talking about. But you know what I didn't tell them? I didn't tell them that the Sunnis was the same way. Everybody I met had the same behavior pattern. And so maybe they thought I was just talking about them. So no, I ain't talking about just them. I'm talking about the Islamic movement in North America and the behavior patterns of people surrounding that movement. So a nice guy was here the other day, and I laid out the little legal stuff. So says he, of course I knew who he was. He come here from Wackenut, the big hat wearing people. And then everybody knows that Wackenut is, the first step into becoming CIA. Well, that's what they say on the internet. They probably lying. But their behavior shows that, and they become a lawyer. And we have certain things that we have done to build our case the way we want it. But we want to listen. And if they tell us, well, you got a good case, people will take your case after just seeing 10% of the stuff. But you have to separate it from the banking, they'll take that. But you got to get people that know how to do that. Those people that have, they're big wealthy organizations that can stand to fight the bank. Because the bank can hold you up for a long time. They got big money. So I was just talking, but I just said, sure, we'll try that. But we're not going to do that. We arranged this case got the way we got it based on what we did over all these years. We trapped the government. You think we're going to turn this case over to a bunch of, just to win a case, a bunch of guys that only care about money? All they want out of it is money? And then they'll take the case if they get 1/3 of the money. You think we're going to live through all of this? I'd rather not have a dime and get the point out. We're going to get our point out. But we listen to everybody because we love everybody. And we take counsel too. But we know how we got here. And we're not going to hand it over to nobody that all they want out of it is a little money. Or a lot of money. And then there was certain things that was said. You have to do that because if you show people this, that, and other, they'll either think you're crazy or they'll da-da-da-da. Well, if anybody see the things that we got the way they lined up and they think that it's crazy, well, that's fine for them. But it ain't fine for us. Because one beautiful thing about it, we have been recording, adjusting. So we have archives, we have chronicles. This stuff has been done correctly. They have made a mistake, not us. And we got our cars out there. The poor little Volkswagen sitting there 100 years. Forest Auto, we told them you could give us $25,000 and then fix everything and then call it a day. Haven't heard a word from them. Okay, so we'll just crank back up again. We don't forget none of this stuff. You know what I mean? We're not forgetting nothing. We just do it and see what happens. Give everybody time. Project management. How can I forget? I write everything down. Plus regular review. Well, that's true. See, here's the thing. Boss man never had to deal. Our situation as a whole. We decided to do this. We had had years of experience before. You could see in 71, 72, 73, and all that, 73, when we tried to challenge the government in those days based on, you know, what we had then. Okay, they just tore the case up. They almost make fun of you, but you got to be able to, hey, it's all right. You got to be able to get laughed at by the government. And okay, that's fine, that's fine. But the next time you come, you have everything in order. And they always say, have a paper trail. Imagine a paper trail of years and years and years of them doing certain things, and you filing a report, and they send you a report according to our behavior. We feel according to section 1, 2, 3, 4, we were correct, and we handled all the property correctly. And I had already told them, well, I had $10,000, actually 11, in the masjid, and when y'all took me to jail and didn't give me a chance to go back in there. And then the dummies forget that they have, by those years, they done already had all the stuff on the body cam, right? And I'm telling the guy, yeah, man, da-da-da-da-da. And they got it so bad in the last few years, I don't know whether he was trying to help me, but it looked like what they'd stick it up in the window. I said, well, what is that you best put there? It's a recorder. So I'd get to talking to the thing all the time. I'm talking to the thing. Hey, man, that's my property up there. I just brought that property from D.C., and it has all of my cases, and it has 3 sections in it, da-da-da-da-da, and they give it to Mukhtar. It's okay. It's perfectly all right. But anyway, now, what we have is, right now, white folks say it all the time, it's deck chair arrangers, you know. They call it arranging the deck chairs on the Titanic. This is what everybody's doing now. This is what it looks like. Everybody going through their thing. The USS Titanic is going down. Like the stuff just said about, what's the name? About Don said that Osama bin Laden, all that was a fraud. Well, part of that was a fraud, but we said that years ago. Then we go on about our business. Okay, the Zionists are knowingly eating away at America's credibility. You remember in the Bible when it talked about the fall of Babylon? Babylon the Great has fallen in one day. It's not one physical day. But when you look back on this period, or this year, 2020, Babylon the Great, everything that could happen to a system, it happened during this. Well, it's been happening all the time. But everybody's looking at America like, man, what's going on over there? Like, you ever see any of the programs, What America Looks Like Abroad? Everybody's saying, man, that's big boss man. Boss man is blowing it. Why is boss man doing that? Okay. The Zionists, I know we talk about this every week, but the Zionists, and I'll pass it as quickly as possible, have to weaken America to where they can use it. America has to be weak so that the Zionists, who are in a weak period themselves, would be stronger and more organized in America. That way they could use America to fight its wars and to do America is domesticated by the Zionists so that America will serve the purpose of the Israelis. That's the whole purpose. And a lot of this stuff that dribbles out week after week after week, it hurts America's image, not Israeli image. It makes America look bad, not Israelis look bad, right? People lose confidence in America, and you know soon they're going to lose confidence in the dollar. When they lose confidence in the dollar, the things that's being done to America, oh, we can't count on that election. Well, the reason people send money here, all their money to America, is because they can count on those orderly transitions, right? They can't count on it in their country, so they send all their money from where they are, Latin America, Africa, send it all here and invest it here because it's a standard good investment. You can count on it. But what about when you can't count on a legal or orderly transition of power? That's what happened in banana republics. The tanks are out on the street. People lose confidence in the system. You put sanctions on everybody, so you make all of them work together. You force them to work together, right? So they force Venezuela, they force Iran, they force China, even they got Russia. Look who they just say, boop, flip a coin, we're sanctioning you, Russia. Yeah, we don't like you said something to somebody they don't like. And then they just say, we blaming this on you, Russia. They said, what proof do you have? Hell, who needs any proof? You're sanctioned. Okay? And they threaten all their white friends. If y'all do anything with them, well, that's it. Okay, nobody can trade with America because America's stuff costs too much, right? What they going to do with it? Eat it all themselves? They're going to buy stuff from China. And eventually Africa and everywhere else. But they're not going to buy it from here. It's too much money. Right? And then they're forced. This is what happens. When a system starts going down, everything snowballs and everything feeds to its decline. And when it go poof, it looks like it happened all of a sudden. But it didn't. It's all been happening over and over again. Okay. It's our job to have America and the American people ready. We don't want them to fall. We want to rescue them. Think about it. If the Muslims want to be, the poor Muslims, if they want to be liked by Americans, we'll help them out with this. Help them through this period. Right? Help them through this period. They will love you to death. Whatever it is, they're not doing it right. They teach martial arts out there at whatever that place is. I've been out there. I see them teaching martial arts at a center that has a Adams Center. They teaching good martial arts. But the kids run away and lift a girl to get killed by one Latino brother. Right? What the hell are they teaching? They're teaching physical martial arts, but they're not working on their mind. To tell them, you Muslim man, you stand your ground. You don't let the little girl stay by herself and they kill her. Right? And you know martial arts? What's wrong with y'all? Right? They're not being taught properly.
All the guys are suffering from some mental issues because they are on suicide watch because they feel guilty for doing it.
Of course they ought to go on and do it. ain't no sense of you know, instead of being on the watch, just go on and get rid of yourself. Solve the problem, right? Problem solved. Ain't no sense of work. Right, solve the problem. Just go and get rid of yourself. You let men are the protectors and maintainers of women. Qawam. That's what we do. That's what we do. Okay, they didn't do it. Okay, let's don't. So anyway, the deck chairs, let's get back to the deck chairs on the Titanic. The iceberg has been struck, and it's been struck, you know, the scientists say if they would have ran directly into the iceberg, then the ship could have stayed afloat because they would have ran directly into it. But they said they tried to turn and it ripped the whole side all the way down. And that's what brought the ship down. Because if they'd have hit it directly, they could have closed it. That was one of the first ships that they can close off, you know, isolate, compartmentalize everything. So they're arranging the deck chairs on the Titanic. That's what everybody's doing now. Boss man, all of them. They run around the decorations. Let's fix this. Let's do this. Nobody's talking about fixing the climate. Fixing the climate. We got to fix it. Okay, that's what's needed now. A group of people that, and that's who we're going to be involved with in these years to come. All these people, I mean, within a very close period of time. And we knew it all the time. You could read articles from 12, 15 years ago. They said our closest allies, we shouldn't have said it like that, will be tree huggers and all that. Yeah, well, that's what the white folks, tree huggers. Environmentalists. System will have to assist in its own salvation.
What's interesting is as you talk about the Titanic hitting the iceberg, as that stuff melts, the only thing they're worried about is a way to sail through there for economic reasons. It's like they don't even care. They want it to melt so they can have a gateway to.
That is so sickening. Yeah, forget about the Arctic is the last pristine area in the world. Pristine my behind. Let's get up there and knock it over. If everything else is dirty, let's get the whole show. Let's, you know, this is greed and insanity. You know, greed and insanity, we have to protect. If you gain freedom, you have to protect your freedom. Okay, the world is going a certain way because we don't have charge of it, though people that have the money do. But with enough unity and harmony, we can restructure ourselves to solve those problems because we got them outnumbered. But we're going to have to, what we're talking about now is organizing specifically to rescue the economy of the world. See, there's no reason for all of this hunger. There's no reason for people to be homeless. And the human being is better than animals. You know what I mean? The human being is better, but he got to be rose up to consciousness and above in order for him to act on that level. That's what we want to assist in. There's nothing wrong with it. You know, the Negro got a soft spot in his heart. He always has, and that's the way it is. Ain't nothing you can do about it. And he forgives everybody but each other. What's the name talking about in 1896? While we have followed, and talking about immigration, we have followed you tearfully to the grave. Remember that? You're going to bring all them immigrants over here? Huh? Booker T, yo. But he was true. Our people, humming and singing and crying like, whoa, and serious. Right? He said, why would you bring them people over here? And we have followed you tearfully to the grave. Now, he was trying to get, he was half right, and the other smart people up there, none of them were totally, you know what I mean? They didn't have, you can't blame them because they're coming out of slavery. They're coming out of slavery. You say, shit, man, you got to have sense. And so he the tell of the tent, they got to have all the sense. What's the name said, well, we don't want to threaten nobody. So we'll do like special, you look at the Latinos now. They do like Booker T did. They doing all the work. Don't worry. When they get all the business, then they can change the prices and up. They used to be really cheap workers. That was a while back. You used to see them driving them up, pushing them old trucks and cars down. Now they got big new trucks with big racks all on them, right? So Booker T was partially right, but them people was coming out of slavery and a little power, you know what I mean? We got all those people to study. You know, we got Hubert Harrison and all them. So what's happening to us is nothing new. Only thing is he died at 27 years old, and we're going to probably die at 100, maybe. It's a chance of it. That means we got another 25, 27 years. As long as he lived, we might have that. So that's what we're planning for. Okay. Benefits of mongrelization of the human family. Well, mongrelization, that's mongrelization. Okay. I don't want to talk about this, but I will just for a minute. If you hear the Klan and they all talk, they're talking about you're going to have a mongrel race. Mixed race. Okay. And they can talk to their white kids all they want. Them little crackers don't want to live in no isolated up in Idaho with their mom and daddy talking about niggas, because the niggas look like, whatever they do, they make it look like we having all the fun, right? It don't make no difference. They don't get no money. They get cheated. That's okay. Boy, but the Negro gonna make you think he having all the fun in the world. And then the white folks gonna help him because they gonna get all the money and he gonna do all the dancing. But that's okay. So the mongrelization of the races, that's automatic. You can't stop them. You can't stop them. You look at white girls. Do they like yellow niggas? Absolutely not. They want the blackest nigga in town, right? Tar babies. And the Negro, he wants the whitest thing he can find. Not just regular white to tan real good, but them white people. You know, they got them kind of folks. That's the way it is. They're going to mongrelize. You can't stop them. You know what I mean? So when you look at the world in 100 years, the people going to be really blended. That it'll be fun to ask, hey, what's your mixture, man? And they'll be talking, man, my grandmother, she was Italian, and I got some Irish, and I did a little Negro, an American Indian, and pretty soon you're going to be able to put in what you want, you know. I know they do, but
But Negro is always the last thing they name.
right.
Say out all of this. Oh yeah.
Oh yes, that's
That's the last one they name out of all of them. They do that now.
But you'll almost be able to go up to a window and choose. You go on the internet. You say, I want this, that, and other, and you can list the backgrounds of people you. That's the they got. Yeah. Yeah.
All this mixed people and only for mixed, it's all this stuff.
And then what the heck? I mean, what's wrong with it? Absolutely nothing. It ain't nothing wrong with it. That old black power, hey, look, man, that's fine. I'm with you all the way. but, but hey, you know, and black power, the Negro, you look at slaves and you look at us, the Negro is about 2 or 3. Man, I was at, what's the name? About 5, 6, it must have been last year. I saw this black girl. She's the blackest thing I ever seen, and I just went up to the car and I told her, I said, I'm not hitting on you or nothing. I just want to tell you that you're the most beautifulest, blackest, and I use that term. I say, in our neighborhood, we used to have people like you. That's what I told her. She said, she just looked at me like, what is wrong with this nigga? But she was happy that some, because nobody never told her, you know, that as black as you are, that's special, special, special. Because Negroes is brown now. They're not black. We're not black. I'm considered dark. I would have been considered light, almost yellow years ago. I look at the old pictures of us. Hey, man, the Negro was black in those days, right? And then you done mixed us all up, and we getting lighter. Don't go to California. You go to California every night, man alive. Hey, man, that's a long story. But here's the thing. All of that stuff that those people are fighting against, there's nothing they can do about it. They might as well just give up the fight and you know, blend on in. Because their children are not gonna, they can't pass that hatred on to their kids. Their kids don't, yeah, maybe 2% or 5%, but all that Nazism and all that, and then I believe they blowing a lot of that up so everybody will be scared that that's taking over. I don't think that's taking over. I think it's going the other way. Yeah, you remember the demonstrations we'd go through? You can't brainwash all them kids. Half of them kids was out there, hey, we're glad. This is a party. We're happy to be here with all the Negroes. We're part of the future. You know the stuff they tell them. And they believe that, the future of America. This is what America looks like. We was even saying it ourselves. I mean, you know, this is what America looks like. Right.
One guy called in, and it's like you were saying, his daughter was like, I want to go down there and protest.
Right.
And he said, what you going down there? And he was straight crap.
Right.
What you going down there to protest for? You haven't lived long enough to go down there and protest. But that's the exchange. I'm like, okay, this is real. Because she's like, I don't like all the stuff that's going on.
Yeah.
And he was like, no, you ain't going because you ain't had it. Now, he's Vietnam vet, but this is what he's saying.
Yeah,
This is
yeah.
what you're saying. The
Yeah.
youth, this generation is not, they seeing what's going on, they want to be a part of it.
And then just think how silly and small it is for you to not like somebody because of their color. Right. Right. Yeah. Right. Right. Yeah, they can't figure out what was wrong with y'all.
White boys, little white boys going to court on Barack Obama. That's
Right.
their favorite president.
Mhm.
That's the president. They don't see it.
Or their favorite quarterback is black.
Of course, like the
Their
Ravens
favorite
quarterback
athlete is black.
Yeah, it's all they don't see it.
Yeah. No, I agree 100%. They don't see it the same, and they don't know what was wrong with y'all. I mean, when they're gonna get older, they're gonna, what the hell was wrong with y'all?
I tried to explain to her about her grandparents not being able to have the friends that she has
Right.
and doing the activities she does. That's why the older people are so in awe about it.
Right.
Like, well, that's dumb. What do you mean I can't be friends with Kate?
Right.
Like the ball in the capital.
Right. They don't-
Drink from a water fountain. I'm serious. Dumb, man.
This,
That rule up. Like,
yeah, who made that? That's really, hey man, that's why our jobs seem hard, but it's not. I think the wave, we stick out because it looks like that we're going to catch all the flack. And I think the wave, we keep doing this and we don't know, that wave may come tomorrow, may come next month, but that wave is coming. That's a wave that's coming and it's going to sweep all of that ignorance and stuff away. Because the people that, if your daughter is 7 or 8 or 9 or 10 now, in another 10 years, they're going to be grown. Right? And we still getting started. I won't be but 80-something years old. They be sweeping it away. Just because, and none of the people, like we used to listen to all black music. And my kids, my sons might, but my daughters, they listen to everybody. Adele and all of them old people, you know what I mean? This is some years ago, and then they say all that. So I play like, yeah, put some of that on, And then, they can't listen to Jimmy Reed and all them old people, old country blues. I tell them about that stuff. They said that is, because the subject of music, because sometimes they make fun of the old Negro spirituals. And I said, those are for reasons. I said, listen to what they were saying. I said, that was revolutionary music at that time. I said, they might have been moaning and groaning because that's what they had to pretend to do. Wade in the water, God's gonna trouble the water, right? And all that stuff. Go down, steal away home, steal away to Jesus. Okay, the railroad is coming by tonight, Underground Railroad. Wade in the water, go up the river. Do not get out of the water till you're 100 miles away, because the dogs can't smell you in the water. And talking about dumb Negroes in Louisiana, them turpentine trees, turpentine would drip on the grass. Cows would eat the grass. When they go to the bathroom, there's turpentine in there. Dogs can't smell turpentine. Negroes stump his feet in that doo-doo and take on off. Because he didn't have a PhD or nothing, but he knew something, right? In other words, what we can contribute is directing people in the right way. And we always say not controlling, you know what I mean, but what did we call it? We want to influence the direction of change. Influence, not, you know what I mean? So anyway, let me kind of wrap up here. I was saying a while ago about the Negro and his forgiveness. He's forgiven everybody. In Kenya, Jomo Kenyatta, the burning spear, forgave the white folks, and in '61, his acceptance speech was that of acceptance. Mandela, his speech or his speeches were the same. So he could forgive white folks. They had to, what did they have that stuff they was calling it? Truth. Go ahead. No, I was over there during that period, coming back and forth.
No, what I was going to say, I heard somebody, some organizations here in the U.S. talking about having the same thing, or they've already done it, having truth and reconciliation
For America?
in America.
In America, you know what?
They're already doing it.
They're just not going to have truth and reconciliation for me and you. Ain't nobody going to forgive me and you. No niggas is going to forgive us. No matter we roll our eyes at them, but they going to forgive white folks. That's boss man put it in the Negro. He got it in him, and ain't nothing. There's no sense staying up at night. You know what I mean? Beating yourself. We're gonna and going look like we, we got another generation or so of it in us. But in the long run, from our book, that's basically what it talks about. It talks about forgiveness. It talks about, and in making a new world, if we have too much killing and revenge and all that, you'll never get to making peace and tranquility. You just won't get to it. Okay, I don't want to talk too much. I'll just go over this again later. So, yeah. Remember that this is what we're going to be doing. We're going to suggest to our brothers these type of programs. We could do them on Zoom, however they would, but it should be a sponsoring element that handles that, So maybe one of the official or maybe some of the ones that this year, we don't say. I think it would be better with some of the brothers that was familiar with this stuff, because I don't think ICNA and ISNA is almost ready for this right now. They might be getting close, but I don't think they're ready. But there's no loss in this, because a lot of my education came from all of these articles that were printed and distributed. Can you imagine going and there's tables and tables of lectures? I used to just go right down and collect 2 or 3 of all of them and bring them back here. All the conferences overseas, all the conferences everywhere. That's where I would say a lot of the familiarity that we have with global issues come from all of this. Okay, Akula Kauli Hada Wastafrullah Li Walakum. So, are there any questions or any comments about anything that was said?
Could you give kind of restate again your position with Iranians and some of the history there with them?
Okay, yeah, well, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. With the Iranians and Shias, technically, we would have to put it like the revolution, because now they call it the Iranian revolution, but before it was the Islamic revolution in Iran. And then the discussion came up whether it's Iran and Islam, or Islam and Iran, or Iran and Iran, or the words Iranians for Iranians. And that's been the discussion for a long time. We would just like to say that the Shia community in general, we've had very good relations with the Shia community. So much so that we don't technically I don't have a madhab. I'm not Hanafi, Maliki, Shafi. Just a Muslim, and I found no reason to change madhabs or anything else. In the beginning, it was the line of Imam, Imam Khomeini. Because Imam Khomeini was the first Shia Muslim, not the first. He was a part of a group or the ulama that politicized Islam and Shiism. Because Shiism was founded on, that Imam Mahdi is to come and establish the 12th Imam, to establish Islamic State. like the Jews have that the Messiah has to come and establish, like the curly-headed wedded Jew, they believe that the Messiah got to come, that Esau wasn't Messiah, that the big-time Messiah will come. And until the Messiah comes, they say that technically the diaspora that the Jews is in is a punishment from God, and they don't want this. They can't. The Zionists that they hate the Zionists, and the Zionists hate them. They said they can't establish the state. They can't. That was our punishment for not being ready. God gave us something and we wasn't ready, and so we have to kind of bear the burden for a while. Then God's going to come, or they don't say God, they say the Almighty will come and do such. Okay, in Shiism, a little different than the Sunnis. Always, for a long time, they had caliphate. And no matter what happened, they had political structure. And the political structure technically did not go away till 1924 when the Ottoman Empire collapsed and Freemasons got hold there, Ataturk and all of them, and they changed it from the caliphate or Islamic rule to secularism. So Imam Khomeini comes and he establishes, he took over in Qom, the biggest happening in Shiism. Instead of going along to get along, he brought this big time Islam. And he used to have a saying, my siyasa is my deen and my deen is my siyasa. My politics is my religion and my religion is my politics. They said you can't mix siyasa, deen, politics and deen. So anyway, from here, when the revolution happened, it was still a big group of Shias left. And if you remember the statement from back in the 80s on the papers I just read, the biggest supporters of Islamic Republic in America and outside of Iran was Sunnis, not Shias. The Shias, I can't talk about the Marjas or the big leaders. They didn't agree with Imam Khomeini on Islamic State. And they never solved that problem to the day. Me being a Sunni, I realized they got a problem. What are they going to do with Marija? That means they have, let's say, 5 or 6 big leaders in Shiism around the world. And you can choose whichever one you want to follow, that type of thing. And they've always existed. They've been a beacon light for Shiism. They've kept it together. They did a good job. But after you have an Islamic State, now what are you going to do with that position of marjiyat? Well, of course, we're common Muslims, and we would whisper it every now and then, but we do not have anything near the qualifications. We might have the sense, but to even touch that subject. In fact, there's certain things, if we were to even mention certain things about our marja or a marja, almost any marja, you're going to find some Shias are going to be mad at you, and they're going to be real mad at you, because who the hell are you? You're common, not only you're just black, that's one thing, but you're just That's, Marja Taqlid, that's a pretty big fella. You don't get any bigger than that in Shiism, except uh, the 12th Imam is coming back, Raja, he's going to be back. And the thing about the hadith on those subjects, Sunnis believe that Imam Mahdi is going to come. He's going to come. And all the hadith is clear on that. Okay, the Shias believe he was already born. And he's in occultation, hidden, gaib. And he's going to come back. They believe he's already born. And all the hadith about Jesus praying behind Imam Mahdi and all that is true. In all of our hadith. But the way the world is now, when we got involved in this, we got involved because of the physical, structural, social, the complete package. We saw the Islamic revolution in Iran as the answer to what we've been looking for all the time. But it just popped up on us, and there it was. Okay, we was studying Maulana Maududi them and all the great lectures we was giving on Mujaddids and all of that, revivers, renewers, and restorers. We looked up and started looking at Iran in '78 because nobody looked at Iran. It was just over there. But they'd been having struggle for decades. And then, when the revolution happened, we had to make a decision. Okay, all the people that we studied together and all that, they didn't come along. They went the other way. We came this way. The center of the woke people from African Americans was here in DC. This was the center. And a lot of the older brothers that you see, they were a part and parcel. Whether for good or bad, or for bad, DC was the center. That's why we came to DC in 1989. We said, we got the game, but if we go to DC, we're going to get the whole. We came here to get exactly what we got. We came here for persecution. We came here for challenge. That's why we came here. And we've said it. Does anybody remember? We said all this over and over again. That's why we're here. And we got it hands down. There's no surprises when all this stuff we talk about. I'm sorry. No surprises. Because as a rule, whatever you have to rise to the occasion. If you do, you're going to get bigger, smarter, and develop more ability. Whatever challenge you have to face, I don't care whether it's in business, whether it's in sports, the greater your opponent, the smarter you're going to have to get, the faster you're going to have to run, the more weights you're going to have to lift. That's just the way it is. And just to play on that field with the top line means you're going to get better. It don't make, you know what I mean? If you play on a number one team, even if you're the worst player on the team, you're going to be good. So that's why when we came here, we looked at who's the biggest in books. We said Halalko. So we'll just catch Halalko. We don't have to worry. We'll catch the number one, so it don't make no difference. We'll be right at the top. And that's what we did. That's why over there we had books stacked out. People can't even imagine the amount of books we had over there at 8th Street and the amount of money we made and the book program. Anyway, about Shiism. We really, if it was about blackness, we would be blacker than Iranians. In other words, with Iranians, we're more serious about the line of Imam than many of them are, because we stuck with the line, even to today. Now, everybody that was here with us, they were very good brothers, most of them. But after every revolution, there's teams. The revolutionary team. When I would go to Iran in the 80s and all that, they would ask tons of questions to make sure you're Hizbullahi. And they used to have saying, Marg Bag Hujjati. Not only Marg Bag Amrika, but Marg death to the Hujjatis. This, well, I don't want to get into it, but those are people who are Shias and they're not as nice. So they would question me because they want to know, are you one of the Hujjatis? They would be, seriously, because they got to know the Hizbullahis would question, and then they'd lay back, say, yep, homeboy's all right. They want to know, first, after the revolution in America, you had Thomas Jefferson, you had the Federalist Papers, you had one wanted to be a kingship type, one wanted to be this one, right? That happens after every revolution. It's not anything you can do about it. So at the revolution in Iran, they have people that were serious about the revolution. They went back and participated in making a revolution. But most of the brothers that went back from America, they wasn't trusted in Iran. And all the brothers would be telling me, man, maybe I ought to go back. I was at the University of Kansas, they was paying me $35,000. And the people, they would ask the question like this: do you think it's better to have somebody that you trust in an office or in a position, or somebody that know what they're doing? They would be talking about them. We know what we're doing. The other guy is a nice guy. He's a party man, but he don't know what the hell he's doing. That was the biggest question I would get in Iran. We are tainted by, they went to school here. Here they Marg Bag America, death to America, but when they get back home, yeah, he just got back from America. When they were sending somebody to the toilet, they would tell the little kids, go to America, the toilet. Go to the toilet, that's America, that's America. Anyway, all right. I'm gonna try to give something a little closer to home. We never cared nothing about none of that. This team or that team or that. We cared about what we always said, walayati faqih, what's good for the Islamic Republic. What's good for the Islamic Republic. And we say, whoever you elect, we with them. For instance, some people never trusted, not never, but after 86, 87, after McFarland went over there with 2 pistols and a birthday cake, I don't know if y'all remember that, yeah. And Imam said, well, the boys ate up the cake and they took 2 pistols. I don't know what the guys in the cars, they ate the cake. Anyway, Rafsanjani came out trying to explain too many things at one time when he didn't have a reason. Some people didn't trust him after that because they figured you couldn't get here talking about McFarland unless you had somebody you were supposed to talk with. And if somebody break wind in the elevator, you know, if you jump up and say, it ain't me, right, then everybody gonna be, that's kind of, I didn't do it. And then you black too, right? They gonna say, yeah, the brother broke wind in the elevator, right? That's what the people gonna say. So if somebody's defending himself for no reason, a whole lot, they didn't trust him. But us, we didn't have that. is we may not trust a guy, but whoever they elected, if they elected Rouhani, Rouhani is all right, but Rouhani may have his clique, which he does. And one of the saddest things about Iran is broken up into cliques. And they and their newspapers over there put us in a clique. Khalkhali was called the hanging judge. I don't know if y'all remember the early part of it. Khalkhali, Ayatollah Khalkhali. They called him the hanging judge. So Sayyid Ahmed, Imam Khomeini's son. Muhtashami, the ambassador to Syria that got his hand blew off and started Hezbollah. They associated us here, because I would go to the Daftar and they say, we read about you in the paper. They would print what I would say in certain papers. Certain other papers wouldn't print it. The papers that would print it would be I think now you would call them the principalists. Do you ever see the principalists? That they're the revolutionary. They're sticking to right now they have supremacy. If y'all remember that I showed y'all an email that it said, okay, we want to get you over here in a hurry. All we need is a signed letter by you, and we've already wrote the letter and we've signed your name. That means these got to be friends of mine. We done wrote a letter and we done signed your name. Don't worry. Because so-and-so and that crew is coming in. Those people are coming in. Okay. Those people is writing me the letters. I like them. But I'm not against those other people. I'm not against those other people. Now, those people right now think we're against them. Those people right now, because their behavior shows that technically their behavior is not good. But what I want to do is just wipe everything clean. That's why we said we have to start and set the agenda for how we feel and how we think. And this is a big tent, so we have to make room for all those ideas. Because boss man don't care whether you're a long-haired Muslim or a short-haired Muslim. That's a joke we used to have. He ate all of us. And Shias, hey. So I said that to say that we're making a little progress. But if I'll just give you an example. One of our friends from UC Berkeley, I might have showed you his picture before when he was at Niagara Falls with certain big Ayatollahs and all of that. And that friend was one of the managers in UC Berkeley. They always had a student leader that led them, and he coordinated all the programs. Therefore, we had a lot of contact. But the one before was really a good guy. But anyway, so they told me at one of the offices here, so-and-so is bad. I said, what did he do? Well, he's with Ahmadinejad. And if Ahmadinejad is bad, then he's bad with him. And I told him, y'all might as well pull a gun out and shoot yourself in the head. You can't do that. You can't divide yourself up, because boss man will be by next week with the information to increase your distance between each other. And he gonna go tell him, oh, they said you was bad, and he's definitely gonna, pretty soon, y'all are gonna be separated and y'all Iranians. So the Iranians in America that took over now, and the immigrants, not the immigrants. Does anybody remember me talking about a program I was at where Medea Benjamin was speaking? That was in Detroit. That was Muslim Congress. Those are Indo-Pakistani Shias. They had claimed to be followers of Vilayati Faqih, the Rahbar, but they only mentioned it once. All of the people here in America start acting in a funny type way. So that means the source was the same. The source was the same. But if we can overlook the Negro beating us upside the head, we can overlook the white man dragging you up and down the street and doing everything else that he do, right? Then we can overlook Iranian behavior too. We can overlook Shia behavior too. If the Negroes over on the other street over there talk about us all the time and we overlook them, when they get sick, we go to the hospital and see them, you know, right now, today. So that's our attitude about that situation, because as the Imam Khomeini said, Sunni and Shias are brothers. There's scissors of the same hand, you know. And that's the way we feel about it. That's the way we're going to continue. We're not going to join no team. And we're going to be very open and direct about where we're coming from. So nobody will have to go in the back room and whisper to themselves, what does Imam Musa stand for? Where is he coming from? They won't get a chance to do that about us. Okay. So all of them can do whatever they want to do. We're going to keep up with what we've been doing. And it's not hard. I don't say it's easy, but it's normal. It's normal because if we was in the black movement, we'd have to be for all black people. And if one wanted to be Talented Tent, one wanted to be Booker T, we'd say we're all in it together. It don't make no difference what your ideology is, right? Well, boss man, look at us all the same. And if they come for me in the morning, they coming for you tonight, homeboy. So that's, not to take too long, that's the way we feel about our brothers. And our brothers here in the D.C. area are taking cues from some of the immigrant brothers. You can see their behavior. Their behavior is taking cues from, we don't take cues, how would we put it? For instance, if we have manna, right? And it's for American, okay. If we're all in it together, no immigrant can come and say, we're going to invite you, but you can't bring Imam Musa. Just like we'll never go any place where they can say, I can come in, but y'all can't come in. We don't. No, we're not going to. If you want to have just a personal conversation, everybody come on in, and we go over in the corner and talk. But we just don't do that. They don't see that. None of the brothers see that. None of the brothers act like that. They act like it was their job to isolate us and to cut us off and put us in a corner, and they go specifically, right, to sit and hug with them. We're all Muslims, but we're not going to have anybody that don't fully understand the trends here. If they want to kiss boss man's behind and lick his boots and then look down on us and try to arrange our community, I don't like that. I don't believe in it. It don't make no difference what madhab they are. So all of that is getting better. I think the wave is coming, and the wave is going to sweep all of that away. I hope I answered part of the question without going around too long. Yeah. Are there any more questions or comments? Okay. Is it more people or less people watching that thing there?
The numbers have dropped some in the past few weeks, but I think it's because the views are kind of split. You hit the 5,000 friend limit on Facebook, so you can't create new connections. So I pivoted and created a public figure page for you, so that we can basically keep on growing and onward.
Right.
Since then, the numbers have dropped down to we're averaging about 300 views a video,
Right.
as opposed to originally about 500 views a video.
Right.
I'm not sure if the ones are being counted of the views that I get, because I share the video to your profile page, your personal profile page, and the public figure page. So I'm not entirely sure if those views are getting counted.
Right.
But
Well, no, alhamdulillah, it's all right. Whatever roll out, we just gonna keep on rolling. We was just interested to see how. Are there any more questions or comments? Okay, if not, aqulu qawli hadha wa astaghfirullah li wa lakum.